Hello and welcome to the Astrocast. I'm Brad and I'm joined here as ever by...
Theff?
And Mataspore.
Awesome. So tonight we are going to do a bit of a discussion on Magic the Gathering. I know sod all about this other than I've seen my scouts play it at camp and they seem to quite like it. And we'll have our usual kind of hobby chat. Spoiler alert, I'm currently going to be hobbying while recording because I haven't done any hobbying today. I don't want to break my streak.
Cheat.
My God, we're bringing you live hobbying.
I know.
Pure audio medium.
I know. It's
Listen to the sound of the brushstrokes.
Can you hear it? I'm painting his face. I do apologise if I'm a bit off tonight. I didn't sleep very well tonight, and I've run today, so my mind is in a bit of a woohoo place. Theff, would you like to go first before I derail this completely and we end up bidding this recording?
Yeah, so hobbying-wise, I have been engaged in something of a secret project, which I can't talk about because I know that my wife may be listening downstairs, but it's for Valentine's Day and it will be talked about next episode. Needless to say, it's been a lot of fun. You guys probably know what it is because I've sent pictures, I think, but we'll put them in the show notes and big reveal next week after she's had the present.
They are looking particularly good.
Yay! I've also been making magnetic lined storage boxes out of really useful boxes and magnetic sheets. So I have too many miniatures. I know admitting this is the first step on solving the problem, but not enough space in cases. So as shown by Duncan on the Painting Academy, and I know it's something others in our group have done, I've been lining really useful boxes with magnetic sheets, putting magnets in the bases, and they just work. It's a great way to store miniatures.
Yeah, I've done it myself, and you're right, it's a great method. It's not that expensive. So my problem is at the moment, it works really well with plastic models, less so with lumps of lead. They do take multiple magnets, but that is the way I'm going to be basing all of my stuff going forward.
I've cheated completely, and I got some 2mm by 10mm fuck off strong neodymium magnets that basically stick anything to this magnetic sheeting.
I went for the ones you recommended, I think, which were cheap enough. I probably for my metal stuff, it's the way to go.
Yeah,
but yeah, no. They work really well. We will include a link to Duncan's. I mean, to be fair, if you watch this, you watch Duncan's stuff. So
yeah, I'd assume so. If not, we'll link it. But I'm assuming you're all familiar with Duncan Rhodes, he who in the winter wears two thin coats.
You're not wrong.
Sorry, there's my terrible memeing for the evening. I've also
don't lie. There'll be more.
There will be more. I've been continuing with Flight of the Eisenstein. I'm nearly done with that, and then moving on to Fulgrim next. Rogel Dawn needs to calm his tits, but beyond that, it's good. I've enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to seeing like other perspectives in the heresy, because I must admit Garrow is not the most interesting character in there for me.
Yeah, Garrow is completely fine, and he's all right. But after 3 books, it is getting a bit much.
He's a nice enough boy, but I want other characters now. Like I'd like to see other legions beyond just the 4 or 5 that we've seen so far.
You will get your wish.
And actually, there are good Ultramarines in the heresy. Is it not just like good guys, like Ultramarines who are actually interesting characters?
Well, there is one particular bit where who is it? I think it's the World Eaters he's going up against, and
yeah,
I think it's Big Bobby G walking on the outside of a spaceship in orbit with no helmet on, punching World Eaters into the void.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That is a very very good scene.
Looking forward to that. See, that's the weird thing about the heresy. Going off on a very slight tangent very quickly, is that I know what happens. Like I know the storyline.
We've known what's happened.
Yes.
We know how it ended.
Yeah. Like, nobody gave Horus a hug.
Working on the mother of all prologues.
Yeah. But
the issues and demons. The Horus heresy.
Pretty much.
I'm enjoying the heresy books. They're well written. They've been fun so far. I'm going to keep going with them.
Yeah, I got about halfway through, and then I got a bit burnt out on the heresy. Just because there's so many fucking books in that series.
Yeah.
And then they release more, and then there's the Siege of Terror, and
I admit I haven't read the full set, which is weird because normally when I start a reading set, I read the whole thing.
And they are erratic in quality, shall we say?
Yeah, I
Not
think
all of them are.
Yeah, that's mostly what threw me off about them. You're never guaranteed to get something good, and I don't mind big projects. I've read the entirety of the fucking Wheel of Time, so
That is a hell of a project.
I know. So no, I don't mind long reads. I quite enjoy them, but no, I know I've read the first 5 books, and I've read some of the other ones, but not in any kind of order. And I don't think I'm gonna try and do the whole thing because, like Theff says, I know what the ending is.
Yeah.
And I don't really need to push myself through it to know like the finest details of how we got there.
Yeah,
That's what 40k theories is for.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just go on 1d4chan.
I mean, there are some genuinely really good bits in that heresy. I think it's the short story, "The Last Church,"
Yes.
which is all about the last church on Terra. I won't spoil it for you, Theff. I don't know if you've read it or not, but that is a very, very good exploration of is religion good or bad, and I don't think it makes a decision on which way it goes, especially based on who is arguing which sides and their actions. But no, really, really good books, really good series.
Yeah. But to rein us back towards what we're meant to be talking about.
Yes, hobbying, right?
That's me basically wrapped up. Who wants to go next?
The standard pattern is that I go next, isn't it? I've done some things this time. I put together. Does anyone remember the like eternal spells and stuff from fantasy? The ones that hung around. Yeah, I had a great big bag of those, which I hadn't actually done anything with for a long time. So I've put them together, and they're sprayed now, and I have no idea where I'm going to put them.
Build a magnet box.
I was about to say, Theff has already come up with that solution for you.
If I don't want to build a magnet box, I want to put them on display somewhere.
Okay.
I just don't know. There's nowhere easily available they won't get knocked over.
I've seen your house. You have room for a glass cabinet.
Oh, I know. I have room for a lot of things that I need or want or shouldn't really have, but I'm going to. It's fine. They'll get a space. I just need to remind myself that this is a property where I am allowed to drill as many holes in the wall as I want. So it's fine. I own this place. This is okay.
After the plague, we're going to IKEA and I'm going to sort out your shelving problem for you.
Dear.
I am within sight of IKEA from where I live. Well, not quite, but basically we're inside of IKEA.
Yeah, well, I would say I don't have one nearby, but that's not true anymore. Because there's a new one. They built one. Recently. It killed a person in its first week, so it's clearly a good place.
I mean, it's been baptized in the blood of the innocent. So
exactly.
Yeah. And
the worst part is, I'm not joking in the slightest.
Can you say blood for the blood god in Swedish?
Oh dear, no.
No, I'm not quite that insane.
Fortunately. Oh, and I've discovered that I have even more Magic the Gathering cards than I first thought that I had. I thought I had maybe a couple of thousand in a couple of boxes. Then I opened the secret compartment under the bed where I shoved stuff that I don't want to think about for too long. And I don't have 2 boxes completely full of Magic cards. I have 15 boxes completely full of Magic cards. Which, yeah. Oh, and even better, my anal retentiveness of a few years ago is in full display because they are in alphabetical fucking order.
That's impressive. I struggle to keep my bookshelf of rule books in alphabetical order. Actually, no, they're not in alphabetical order at all. So, yeah.
I remember doing some of this sorting as well. I think it was around your old house, Theff, where you had that massive table. I just spread them all into like first the 26 piles for each of the letters, and then once you've got them in that pile, you spread each pile individually to get it in the right order inside that.
Jesus,
it was nightmarish. And now I'm afraid to take any card out because I never find the right place again. They just have to stay there now. They can't be used.
You have to adopt the Natural History Museum library organization system of when you take a card out, you put a card that represents where that card was in its place.
Then you need to buy even more cards, or
Yeah, I was gonna say.
that's insane is the only word I've got to use.
That's right. This is what would This is what would happen if it's basically imagine, because my drive's not that big, so imagine feeling the same way about Magic, about the way you feel about 40k.
Yep.
But imagine that each individual model costs around 2 pence.
Yeah. Okay.
And yeah, you see the problem now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are individual cards that cost a lot more, but if you average it all out, it's pennies per card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, that's depressing. And I counted how many ready-made decks I have going, which is something in the region of 14. Oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. Those boxes have 2 decks each in them. 28.
Jeez. Before we go any deeper, Brad, what have you been doing this week, please?
I've been continuing working on my second edition 40k stuff. Been working on all the characters, so I've been building a Tech Marine, an Apothecary, an Ancient Calgar, and I've stripped and repaired my original Tigarius. His staff was broken, so I've drilled that out with a little pin vise. That was such a faff. Hand drilling into white metal is not fun. But it's gone, it's fixed, it's glued. And I've also picked up a chaplain model, which will be used to represent Chaplain Cassius, the High Chaplain, who did have rules in second edition.
He did.
And technically he had rules in third as well, because it was in white. They were published in the annual in 2001. So I've got the model they used in that article to represent him as Cassius, and he does look a bit like him. I've got those both painted. I've just been base coating them now. Well, base coating the bits that aren't going to be dark blue or dark black. So that's what I'm doing. I also had a bit of a break this week from 40k stuff, and I picked up one of the WizKids pre-base coated NX classes. They're not bad little models. For a $5, the detail was okay, and I was able to get it painted completely and transferred in a day. So, I mean, it was mostly painted silver and then dry brushed a different silver.
Yeah.
And then a few little details. But I picked it up as the ISS Avenger.
Nice.
NX09. Again, I did look to see if I could pick up the cards to play it, but Attack Wing, they're expensive for what they are, and I've sent one to Theff, and someone was trying to charge 300 quid for one, which I'll be honest, I thought the Attack Wing stuff was overpriced when it was in the shops. When you kind of compared the X-Wing stuff and the Attack Wing, which were pennies different in price, if at all, and the quality of the
Jesus.
Yeah, the Attack Wing stuff just looked like it had been dipped in paint, whereas the X-Wing stuff looked nice. And for kind of a pre-painted miniatures game, I want them to look good. I want them to look as good as I could do them, or better.
Yeah, I'd love to do an episode on Attack Wing at some point, because it's kind of it's in a weird place. And I feel like we should talk about it, because yes.
Well, in that case, shall we shelve the discussion? Because I don't think we've got any plans for next week. So let's shelve that there then. And then
and then you two can be the know-it-alls educating me, because I'm not into this scene. So go for it.
Cool. So that is kind of been my hobbying. I think I'm up to day 36 of my hobby streak. Kept the streak going, so that's good. But yeah, no, it was a nice change of pace painting one up. I am tempted, when I get my printer fixed, which should be this week or next, because the replacement parts are on their way, printing out some more at maybe a slightly bigger scale. It's just trying to find the right balance between not too big but not too small.
As with many things in life.
Yeah, it's all about the Goldilocks, though.
Yeah.
Now, that's my hobbying done. Shall we move on to tonight's main discussion, which is Mataspore primarily leading, I believe?
Yeah.
If we judge expertise by the amount of cardboard owned, then certainly, yeah.
I mean, I took a load of cardboard to the tip. Does that count?
Depends. Did it have pretty pictures on it?
Well, there was a nice picture of a microwave on one of them.
Oh.
Yeah. Fucking bloody flash me. Right.
Oh,
all joking aside.
anyway, yeah. Right. Yes. Magic the Gathering. I have written a small introduction for this game, which vaguely describes how it is played. Not well, but we'll go into more details afterwards. Here we go. Let's go through this thing. Right. So first of all, you've got your decks. The decks can have between 40 and 60 cards. I'd recommend 40 for reasons. You draw one card each turn. Nice and obvious, nice and easy. You start with 7 cards in your hand, unless you have Necro Valley, but ignore that. Creatures are a certain thing that you can summon. They have a power and toughness. Power is the damage that they do, and toughness is the damage that they can take, unless they have indestructible, but ignore that. Players start with 20 life. 19 of this life doesn't matter, but you really don't want to lose that last one. Unless you happen to be Theff, and each and every point of life is an unbelievably valuable gem, and you must have more. Spells other than creatures are instants, sorceries, or enchantments. For some reason, I forgot to write about artifacts' existence in this script. The difference being that you can cast when you can cast them and how long they stick around for. The aim of the game, oddly enough, is to drop your opponent's life points to 0, thus making them lose the game. This works unless they have Platinum Angel, or you're playing a mill deck, or an infect deck, or any of several dozen, or if hang on. Battle of Wits, Chance Encounter, Epic Struggle, Mortal Kombat, Test of Endurance, The Cheese Stands Alone, Now I Know My ABC, Celestial Convergence, Coalition Victory, Dark Steel Reactor, Daughter Nothingness, Phage the Untouchable, Final Fortune, Last Chance, Warrior's Oath, Lich, Lich's Tomb, Nefarious Lich, Amulet of Quoz, Forbidden Crypt, Form of the Squirrel, Rocket-Powered Turbo Slug, Transcendence, Approach of the Second Sun, As Luck Would Have It, Azor's Elocutus, Baron Glory, Biovisionary, Felidar Sovereign, Gideon of the Trials, Happily Ever After, Hedron Alignment, Helix Pinnacle, Hellbite Tyrant, Jace Wielder of Mysteries, Laboratory Maniac, Liliana's Contract, Mael's Aria, Maze's End, Mechanical Reduction, Near-Death Experience, Revel in Riches, Rules Lawyers, Simic Ascendancy, Thassa's Oracle, or Angel of Destiny are in play. But don't worry about them. And you'll pay for all the different cards with mana of various colours, which comes from lands. Unless you... I'm not doing that again. Anyway, there are 5, 6, kinda, colours of mana. Those being red, green, white, black, and blue, plus colourless, which used to just mean that it could be paid with mana of any colour, but now there are cards that specifically require colourless mana, so I guess it's an archetype now. Speaking of archetypes, each colour corresponds to a certain kind of overall style of play. Red is all about destruction, lots of spells that deal direct damage and creatures that hit fast and sometimes hard, but often can't take a hit too well themselves. Green likes to summon the biggest, baddest creatures and concentrates on making them bigger and badder. White likes to summon angels, heal the sick, protect and boost others, and imprison and brainwash those who don't belong, and on occasion remove entire cities from the map with the light of purity. Blue likes to be a tricky bastard with lots of cards that flat out deny your opponent the ability to play the game, while bending the rules to get itself more cards and creatures that can't be blocked. And black's all about death and selfishness, killing creatures, summoning zombies, and getting into good old contracts with demons and devils. And colorless is the source of eldritch monstrosities beyond the ken of mortal man. My colorless deck is pure Lovecraft fuel, and I adore it.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a very, very mangled abbreviation of what Magic the Gathering is, and I'm sure none of it went in.
Yes, my eyes have gone sideways until you said summon angels, and then I had David Mitchell and Robert Webb's Angel Summoner appear in my head, and the BMX Bandit.
No, the whole idea is it's a card game where you have 20 life each, and the objective is to get your opponent's life down to 0. To do this, you can summon creatures, which have a power and toughness. Like I said, power is the amount of damage they do. You can tell them to attack that player. And if that player has a creature in the way, they can say, block that creature. And then they fight each other. And power and toughness are compared. And
I've heard it compared to Pokemon if the Pokemon's objective was to get past the opposing Pokemon and kill the opposite trainer.
that's perfect, actually.
That makes sense in my headspace now.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Say the two of us were playing a game, and we're a couple of turns in, and I've got a couple of angels on the field, and
No way do you have angels on the field turn 2.
Fine. We're
what we're saying is, if we're going to be real, no. What he means to say is, we're 2 turns in, Theff has 2 planes, I have 2 mountains, and approximately 20 goblins, and he has nothing.
That's how it normally goes.
About how it normally goes, yeah.
But, yeah. So you're a few turns into the game, like, say, you've 4 or 5 turns in. Assuming I've not lost because I've got no creatures to block the attacks coming in, I might have, say, 1 or 2 high mana cost creatures on the board that I can use to attack or defend. There's modifiers there, so say they're flying and my opponent's creatures aren't flying, they can fly over the top of them and attack the opposing player directly. My tactics normally revolve around get as much life as possible and win the game, because there are cards in my deck that if my life total goes above a certain amount, I win the game. There are also cards that basically mean if my life total drops below 1, I can't lose the game.
Don't lose the game, yeah.
But I don't win until I meet win conditions, and if that card went away, I'd lose immediately. It is very much about finding synergies between different cards as well. Like with any deck building game, you want things that work well together. So, like, for example, we talked about mana. Each creature has a mana cost to summon, and you can only put down 1 land to tap for mana per turn. So, in my deck, a lot of my creatures are 7 or 8 mana. I need a way to get them out faster than that, so I play a card called Quicksilver Amulet, which for 4 mana allows me to summon any creature from my hand to the table, which massively speeds up the way my deck plays and stops me getting ruffle stomped in a couple of turns.
Okay.
Well, to be completely fair, it depends very much on Hugo, because Theff's got the one deck that he focuses on. I've got a few more than one. Just a few, and they're all stuff like they're all basically just flight of fancy stuff. Like, it's just occurred to me that could I make a deck that focuses on this? And the answer is inevitably yes. And then I do it. For example, I've got a we've got the goblins. The goblins are very easy to explain. If you haven't won by turn 4, you're not going to win. But we've also got like all sorts of combination deck. Like I've got a green-blue deck lovingly titled That Fucking Whale. It's called that because both Theff and Dark Mouse have referred to a certain card within the deck as That Fucking Whale.
Yes.
Mostly because it involves using green's propensity to generate huge amounts of mana to create massive blue creatures that tend to make other things disappear and somehow swim around the opponent cards to attack directly. It's amazing. And we've got what else? We've got vampires, we've got werewolves, we've got free dragon decks. We've got what happens when I realize that I have like 20 planeswalkers that I'm not doing anything with and make a deck with them.
So, speaking of planeswalkers, would it make sense to talk a little bit about the lore of Magic at this point? Because Jesus Christ, there is lore.
I think we should talk about the lore.
Yeah, I'm about to say that because so far it sounds it sounds cool. I've never ever since Pokemon I've never really done card games. I don't know. I suppose I'd just lean more towards the modelling side of stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. What you said there, that and I'm guessing the reason you did Pokemon is because you saw the cartoon.
I think it started on it was the craze at the time because I
Yeah.
was, it was Gen 1 Pokemon and
Yeah,
it
and
was
if you want,
the
well,
craze.
you either saw that cartoon or you played the game. And
Yeah, then I saw the cartoon and got, blue and yellow I had on the Game Boy Color.
Nice.
Excellent.
The halcyon days of my youth. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The kind of lore behind it does matter a lot, and
Yeah.
I can't describe all of Magic's lore, because that would take a very long time.
I don't think there's enough space on my hard drive for that
No.
recording.
No, I don't think there is either. But point of the matter is, there are things called planeswalkers. Planeswalkers are people or creatures or whatever who can planeswalk. That is, move between different planes of reality and different worlds all over the place. And each kind of released set of Magic the Gathering, generally speaking, was set in a particular plane. And all the cards in it, you could generally use them to, even if you had no other info whatsoever, you could use them to puzzle out what was going on in the actual kind of story. Oh, what's a good? I'm trying to think of a good example
What
for
about
this.
Avacyn Returns? That block, because I know that block fairly well.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was going to go for Shards of Alara, but yeah, we can do. That's which one is Avacyn Returns? Is that the
That's
Innistrad? Avacyn
Innistrad,
Restored.
yeah.
Innistrad block. Yeah, there we go. We can go for that. Of course, Theff wants to talk about Avacyn. Avacyn is an angel, by the way.
Yes. I guessed that by that
Yeah.
that comment.
Yeah. Right. Basically, Innistrad is the gothic horror plane. It's the one that my vampire and werewolf decks come from. And if you know gothic horror, specters in the night, vampires outside your window, nasty things in the ocean, Frankenstein experiments, all that sort of stuff. That's Innistrad. It used to be mega plagued by demons and undead, up until this super angel called Avacyn appeared out of nowhere. I know where she came from, but it's not revealed in that set, so shush. Appeared out of nowhere and started driving all the demons back and sealing them in something called the Hell Vault, which is a massive interdimensional prison thing. Up until she got in a fight with one of the 4 archdevils of the plane. What was his name? Gristlebrand. That was his name.
That's a cracking name.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome, isn't it? Gristlebrand. And basically, they both kind of got sealed in the Hell Vault together. And the Innistrad block it's 3 separate blocks. It culminates in Avacyn Restored. It starts with Innistrad. The second one is Dark Ascension, which is when shit starts to go really wrong. And the third is Avacyn Restored. Because the set starts just after Avacyn sacrifices herself to seal Gristlebrand inside there. Because now the problem is there are 3 archdemons left and all the other bad stuff, and Avacyn is stuck in the Hell Vault.
Cool.
So the whole of the Innistrad block is basically all the dark coming back, the people trying to fight it off, all that stuff going on. Dark Ascension is when there's basically a great big conspiracy to try and get Gristlebrand out of the Hell Vault. A whole lot of bad stuff happens. Eventually, I think they're Inquisitors, have the bright idea to resummon Avacyn, which is Avacyn Restored, and they do, with the ever so slight side effect that when she comes out of the Hell Vault, so does Gristlebrand.
Yeah.
And Gristlebrand as a card is
It's a bit scary.
fun. He's fun. they all have like there's Avacyn Angel of Hope. There we go. Hang on, because I'm just going to find these cards actually quickly because the card
it might be useful to actually I say I've seen Magic the Gathering played. I've got one of my leaders whenever we
Here we
go
go.
around camp brings it. But I've got no real concept of what a lot of these actually are.
There you go. Have a look at that. That's Avacyn. And you see the little kind of the flavor text on it.
I will in a second. Jesus, that's expensive.
Yeah, she's a rare one.
I in no way have her as my main angel in my angel deck. No.
No, of course not. Don't be silly. Theff would never have spent ridiculous amounts of money on that sort of thing.
I legitimately pulled her from a pack.
Yes, I know you did. It made me very jealous.
I wouldn't shut up about it for a while because she was an incredibly rare pull. But yeah, so
You were.
Just to talk very briefly about the card while we've got it up, and we'll put it in the show notes for anyone interested.
Yeah.
You see the top right of the card, you've got the mana cost to summon. So 5 colourless mana and 3 white mana to pay to, or 5 mana of any colour, I should say, and 3 white mana to summon.
Yeah, the grayed out number just means it can be paid by mana of any colour.
So flying, as I mentioned earlier, she can attack past creatures that don't have flying or reach. Reach is the thing that spiders seem to have mostly, where they reach up and grab flying things out the air and eat them. Vigilance means that she doesn't tap. Tapping is a mechanic whereby when you attack
your cards
with
get
a card,
tired.
You turn it on its side to show that it's attacked, and then in your turn, it can't defend you. Avacyn doesn't get tired. She doesn't tap when she attacks. That's what Vigilance does.
And then the most annoying ability, just below that.
Yes. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, and other permanents you control, that's important, are indestructible. Now, other permanents you control, that means literally everything else on the field that is a creature or an artifact or a land, basically.
Or an enchantment.
Or an enchantment, sorry, yes. Instants don't count as permanents, but never mind.
Basically, anything that stays on the board.
Yes.
Okay.
Because obviously, instants or sorceries, you play them, you cast them, and then they go.
You cast Fireball and you go bang, and then it goes away. Yeah.
Literally, yeah. But in this case, so say all of those other angels I've summoned and all of the artifacts and enchantments on them are now indestructible, which means that you see her rating of 8/8 at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That means that she can deal 8 damage in a hit and take 8 damage when she gets hit. But that's meaningless because it means that even if she takes that 8 damage, she's not going down.
Yeah. Indestructible literally means lethal damage, so damage equal to or greater than your toughness value, and effects that say destroy don't destroy you.
Yeah.
She could go down to toughness -20 and it would not matter.
Yeah.
I assume there is ways of removing her.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there are plenty of ways.
Yeah, that actually leads quite nicely to a little arms race between myself, Mataspore, Dark Mouse, and to a lesser extent, Dark Mouse's wife and my own wife, Amy. There's a little arms race that basically goes every time one of us puts something like, say, Avacyn in a deck, everyone else comes up with a way to counter it almost immediately.
To get rid of her. Yeah. Yeah. I like putting her to sleep.
Sleep works.
That's easy because vigilance just means that you don't tap after you've attacked, but sleep just taps you automatically and you stay tapped for 2 turns.
Yes.
Meaning she can't do a thing.
There's also Dark Mouse's demon deck that was basically built to counter Avacyn that exiles things as quickly as possible. Now, exile isn't destroyed, it's basically sent to another plane of existence. So the thing isn't blown up, it's just gone.
Yeah, because if you destroy something, it goes to the graveyard, and there are lots of cards that can bring you back from the graveyard. But if you're exiled, you're removed from the game. Now, there are cards that can bring you back from exile, but not nearly as many. And most decks, unless they're built around the idea, won't have anything like that in them.
No, unless, again, you're my angel deck, in which case I have a card...
I said most.
Yeah.
I said most.
Yeah. No, my entire deck is basically built around getting the big angels out and keeping them there as long as possible while generating as much life while doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you want the opposite of Avacyn, let's just copy this. Paste. Boom. There you go. This is Gristlebrand. As you can see, he's a little different.
Well, firstly, he seems a bit more reasonable in price. I mean, that's still a lot for cardboard. I think that's it.
He's not as rare.
Paying that much for, I don't know what it is, but models, I'd go, £24 for a model, that's fine. But it's just something in my
£7.60. But yeah,
cool.
Obviously you can see the similarities. He needs black mana rather than white. Other than that, much like him, he has flying as well. He's got lifelink, which means any damage he deals comes back to you as life.
Okay. Yeah.
And more importantly, is his ability below that, which in my opinion makes him more useful than Avacyn, which is the pay 7 life, draw 7 cards. Because if you remember what I said before, the only life point that matters is that very last one.
And if he can, so lifelink, if the damage he deals,
yep,
comes back to his life.
He is 7/7, so it comes right back to you if he can attack.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, he doesn't have to tap to use that ability, so you could happily pay 14 life and draw 14 cards.
Yeah.
If you had the life to do it.
Which, given that he doesn't tap, you can always use that ability and then attack with him and get the life directly back as well.
You can indeed. That's the idea.
Okay.
But yeah, that's two of the really big things. Let's find a nice, simple, basic one. Go on, search engine. There he is. Here's my boy. This is. Copy that. There we go. This is a more reasonable price as well, so you'll be happier about this.
I won't have a heart attack on this one.
No.
20p. That's about right. There we go.
Yeah. This is Raging Goblin.
Oh.
He costs precisely 1 mana to get out, meaning you can summon him in the first turn, and he has haste. Normally, when you summon a creature, that creature cannot attack on the turn that it's summoned.
Mm-hmm.
If you have haste, you can. So the ideal play with this guy is you start the duel, you've got at least 1 mountain, which gives you red mana in your hand. You put that down, you tap it to get 1 red mana, you summon him, and you deal 1 damage to your opponent before they can do anything to stop you. That's the ideal opening play for my Goblin deck.
Yep.
I am loving the cheeky face on him. He is adorable.
Oh yeah, the artwork on some of them is amazing.
The artwork on the previous 2 has been exceptional, but I love him. He will haunt my dreams. No, okay, cool. That's. I feel like I know a bit more about what Magic is now, but it's not really. Again, you've probably not sold. Unlike when you sold me on Age of Sigmar, it's still probably not something I'm going to get into.
That's the thing with Age of Sigmar. It's close enough to what you were already doing.
Yeah.
That it's fairly easy to make the step over. I've been into Magic since long before I met you guys. I think I saw an advert on TV that involved the casting of Giant Growth on a goblin so many years ago.
I was about to say, so what got you both into it? But you've kind of started down that that chain.
Yeah, no. that did, and then people at school played it, and I'll admit my interest in it didn't really properly crest until I discovered a terrible website called the Magic Card Trader, which has all of them.
Yep.
And it's much. It costs a bit more, but it's much better than just buying booster packs and seeing what you get. Because you can essentially build a deck on the website and then see that's going to cost you, I don't know, 20-25 quid. And just ding, and then a few days later, ha!
Instead of having to pay a couple £100 worth of booster packs, which always mildly wrinkles with that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think a similar thing for me happened. It was certainly while we were all in Plymouth. And I remember Mataspore saying to me one day, "Have you ever played Magic?" And I went, "Very briefly once." And he went, "Yeah, let's fix that." And what followed was kind of a cascade of me getting into it. We then got Dark Mouse into it.
We did indeed.
Then got Spirit Wolf into it, and then we got my brother into it, and then we all kind of
the infection spread, is what he's saying.
Yeah. Then I met Amy, and she already played, which was awesome. Our second date actually was sitting in the Great Court at the British Museum, playing a game of Magic, which, as settings go for your first duel in a relationship, is really fucking cool. And we drew some interesting looks from the tourists that were there to see the actual museum, but never mind. And so, we play, we have fun, and I think it's something that's just kind of osmosed out, and it kind of comes and goes. We'll all get back into it for a little while, and then we'll move on to other things again. Then we'll get back into it.
Unfortunate. You can play it online. There's a fair few little things that you do that. There's one, I can't remember what it's called now. I'll have to find it later.
It's called Arena, I think. That's the latest one.
Maybe.
It did seem like the kind of thing that is rife for an online version.
There's
a fair few
online version at this point. I think Arena is the latest one. I've heard good things about it, but I've not tried it out yet.
Yeah, the main thing really is how many of the ridiculous amount of cards are available. Because especially the older cards. Because I think when Magic the Gathering first started, they didn't really care that much about game balance.
Yes.
So there are a number of older cards that can break the game in spectacular ways. In fact, there are newer cards which they've been FAQ'd now, but when they first came out, it was hilarious. For example, going against Theff's Angel deck, my favorite counter to it was my Vampire deck, which involved a combination of just two cards. One of which had the very simple rule: you enchanted your opponent with it, and the enchantment effect was whenever you would gain life, you lose that much life instead.
Yeah.
And then I had one which was whenever your opponent loses life, you gain that much life.
Yeah.
And if you put a third card into the mix, you could make that a perfect circle, because there was a third card which was whenever you gain X life, your opponent loses X life. So if I set that up and any of Theff's life gaining effects go off, then he loses that life, which means I gain that life, which means he loses that life, which means I gain that life, which means he loses that life, which means I gain that life, which means he loses that life. You see what I mean?
Yeah, you get a perfect kind of just life drain going on there.
Even if he gains one, he goes down to 0, basically.
Yeah. It's a spiral of fuckery, and I do not like it.
Yep. I like it very much. I've managed to pull it off on him on several occasions.
That is definitely something that was missed in the edit.
Yeah. Like I said, they've FAQ'd it now. But there is. Oh God, what was it called? There's a really, really famous one. It's called like oh, like Black Ritual. I'm going to go to Google for this. Oh come on, there cannot be. There. I think it's Dark Ritual. Hang on.
Yes, I think so.
Is it Dark Ritual? Which they made and released and didn't realize how it could be so. Yep, it's Dark Ritual. There we go. Dark Ritual is a black instant card.
Yep.
It costs 1 black mana to cast, and its effect is you gain 3 black mana.
Okay.
And the point of this was there are a fair few things that you could change for that. It's basically if you had if you started with, let's say, 3 Dark Rituals in your hand, or even two, with 2 and 1 swamp, you cast the first one, you use 1 mana from it to cast the second one. Now you have 5 mana on turn 1. That is very, very broken. And if you have 3, you can have even more.
Which then gives you a head start on the other player, which makes it even harder for them to catch up and
exactly
win. Yeah.
Okay. And a favorite play with this would be to do that. Use the mana to cast Necro Valley. Necro Valley has the effect: pay 1 life, draw 1 card. Pay 19 life, pick up half your deck. Use the 1 remaining black mana to play the other Dark Ritual that you've almost certainly got. Get more mana, and then play whatever you want, basically. Oh, I remember now. It was the Ulamog thing. There was another card. You played it so that any card that went into your graveyard came back to the field.
Yes.
You played that, and then your turn ended, and you can't have more than 7 cards in your hand. So you have to discard cards to your graveyard until you have 7 left. And then because of the effect of the card, all those cards that you just discarded come to your field.
Oh.
Which, yeah.
So that reminds me actually of the Planeswalker card, Khan Liberated.
Oh,
which,
Khan! Sorry.
Yeah, I've had someone scream that when I pulled this off. So Khan...
I should point out it is spelt Karn.
Yes.
Not Khan.
Yes. But so
I'm still going to shout Khan.
Sure you are.
Planeswalkers have abilities, and you pay the equivalent of their life. They're like an extra player that's on your side, and you pay the equivalent of their life, known as loyalty points, to use their abilities. Now, Khan has one that allows you to send cards to exile, and then his ultimate ability lets you restart the game with all those cards that were exiled. This means your opponent's cards, as well as yours, in play immediately on your side. It's a horrifying trick, but one of the ways that I've seen this beaten was because he exiles cards at the opposing player's choice, you don't know what's being exiled. Someone very cleverly put in what was effectively a tactical nuke into the exile pile, something called Planar Cleansing, that has the lovely effect of destroy all permanents.
Wipe the board, yeah.
Yeah, just board wipe. Now, obviously that wouldn't work if Avacyn was in play, because everything's indestructible. But the moment that card enters the field, everything goes away unless it's indestructible. So the game was restarted, and I'm putting out the cards that I've got from my opponent, and Planar Cleansing comes up, and the game just restarts as normal because everything that was brought to the table by Khan's ultimate ability got blowed up.
Cool.
But that's kind of the joy of Magic, is looking for those little exploits and tricks in what your opponent can do and in what you can do.
I'm getting like the idea. It's almost like you're building up the system. You're building a machine to kind of you're building up your system to kind of take away life. Right. So I've made multiple comments about the price of some of these cards. £32. We're now getting into Box of Space Marine territories.
Yeah.
Well done. You're making Games Workshop look reasonable with that price. I hate to ask, what is the most expensive?
Oh, I would put money on it being a foil Nicol Bolas.
Hang on a second. No, you're wrong.
No? Okay.
No, hang on. Where is he? Where's the boy? There he is. Mythic Edition, Jace the Mind Sculptor. Give me a second.
That fucker.
Let's give Brad a heart attack. There we go. He's out of stock at the moment.
I mean, not necessarily. Okay, that's a lot. £120 for a bit of foily card.
Yeah.
That's a bit much.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know.
that was autographed. That's why that's a silly price. I just googled what was the most expensive card ever sold. Because there's people who will put.
It might be Black Lotus, actually. Yeah. What?
Okay, that was autographed, and it's in dollars. $511,100.
Yeah, Black Lotus. There we go. I was right. It was the Black Lotus. Sweet.
God, you could almost buy a house in London for that. Jesus.
Yeah, I was about to say you could buy a very nice house in the north for that.
Yeah. There is a absolutely hilarious clip on YouTube, which is someone opening an old booster pack, and he's just going through it like very calmly, explaining all the different cards, and then he gets to somewhere near the end, and Black Lotus falls out, and he just goes screaming to his mum, because that is lottery winning right there, because Black Lotus sells for it's a collector's item thing. It's got a really useful effect, which would be tremendously useful in tournaments if it wasn't banned. But yeah, it gives you mana for nothing, so it's even more powerful than Dark Ritual. But yeah, it's
Jesus.
Yeah, it's purely a collector's item type of thing, because it's rather rare.
Yeah, I think there's only like 40 of them ever printed or something ridiculous like that.
Something. I don't know. I don't know the full mythos behind it, but I do know it's very rare.
Yeah.
And different prints of it are rarer still. And thus you get that whole, nearly 500,000 ridiculousness.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is apparently an autographed one.
Or even better.
Couldn't tell you who'd autographed it, but yeah. Cool. So sounds interesting. Again, it's probably not something I'm ever going to get into. I might be able to play.
The thing. Because the way I trapped Theff into this and thus caused this whole cascade in the first place is I gave him one of my decks so he could play a game. I think that is honestly the best way to do it. So next time we meet in person, which I realise may be a long time.
Well, one of my leaders at Scouts, he always brings. He has a half a dozen decks he brings on camp, and it just sits there in the wet weather pile.
Cool.
And the kids have all loved it. So I now kind of like, oh, nice. That's I now feel I have a better understanding of what's going on when he's playing it. I know it's the joke saying I won't get into it. It's like, no, I'm not getting into this. I have enough expensive hobbies as it is, and I would quite like to get into Wasteland Warfare more.
I'll be perfectly honest. You can build a single working deck for very cheap. Like we've shown you all these like fantastical cards. My Goblin deck does not have a single card in it that is worth more than 50p on the Magic Card Trader, and it is consistently the best performing deck.
That's completely fair. Well, thank you very much for you going through it. Yeah, interesting enough. Is there anything else you would like to say on the subject of Magic the Gathering? And I don't know why I said it like that.
I don't know either. Very strange of you. But no,
I think I'm going slightly mad.
Oh, only slightly. Then we haven't done our job.
I think you need to find a small pond, pretend it's a gin and tonic, and pretend to be a slice of lemon and jump in and out of it for a while. Bonus points if anyone gets that reference.
I don't get the reference, but I don't know.
You are a bad man, Theff. You are a bad man.
You'll have to send me the link to that for the show notes.
I will do. Don't worry. You actually have access to it. I shared it the other day. But
is it? Is it Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
yeah.
I need to actually read all of Hitchhikers because I've read the first one. Add that to the list. Cool. Right. So I think that's us kind of done for tonight. Then
That's a long waffle on about Magic the Gathering.
Yeah,
And
but it's nice to
poor
geek out
failure
about
at
it.
convincing Brad to play it.
There will
yeah,
always be time down the pub later.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about some of my favourite worlds in it, but you're right. Without the background of the game, it literally just wouldn't make sense.
Okay.
I
believe there's also isn't part of this available now as a D&D setting? Did I see?
It is, yes.
Awesome.
Ravnica and the guilds thereof, which is something we should dive into. We should talk more D&D at some point. But yes, because they're both owned by Wizards of the Coast. And ultimately Hasbro.
Well, that's the thing.
That
Planeswalkers go across all planes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why not?
Cool. Right, so that's our main discussion finished for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't know about Magic, hope you know a bit more. If you know something about Magic, feel free to say the stuff we got wrong in the comments, and we will definitely reply to them.
Yes, we will.
So, does anyone have anything they would like to plug?
You know what? I'm going to actually plug the Magic Card Trader. It is a really, really good source of Magic the Gathering cards. It's been a great support for my obsession, hobby. Yes.
I was going to say it's your supplier.
It's been a wonderful enabler.
I mean, I would say not just enabler, an active profiteer of your addiction.
If you're interested in Magic the Gathering or looking for a specific card, and you don't want to brave eBay, then it is a very, very good source for them.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'd just like to add a quick addendum to the end of this episode. Quick shout out to our friend Claire, who I know has not been very well recently. Not going into specifics here, but feel better. I hope you're doing well. And when you listen to this, we're all thinking of you.
Big thumbs up. So I think that is us done. Thank you very much for being here and talking at me about Magic the Gathering. I hope I haven't been too disparaging about the cost of little bits of cardboard.
That's all right. I'll be sure to be just as passively aggressive about your favourite things next week.
Yes, that turnaround is fair play. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we'll talk. If we talk X-Wing and Attack Wing, because they are very related.
Yeah, sounds good.
And that is bits of cardboard as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Well, with that, it is good night from moi.
And me.
And me. Sleep well.
They're not going to sleep well now.
That was the idea.
Thank you for listening to Astrocast. We are a Tinker Tailor Soldier Sponge Productions. Feel free to click on our website to find all the links to all the other podcasts that are produced by the network. All contact information and social media will be in the doobly-doo down below. And there is a Patreon that supports all of the stuff done by Tinker Tailor Soldier Sponge. Go through there. If you think this drivel was worth something, throw us £1. We would be eternally grateful.
Join Tom and Rob for your essential fortnightly dip into the world of British and American politics. We read all the boring stuff, so you don't have to.
And I also like to think that our kind of characteristic banter adds to the show. I ask Rob most of the questions, and Rob provides the insights, don't you, Rob?
Yes, I do, and I just tend to witter on and 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 on over you. But that's fine, because people listen to it for me.